evening. You are just in time for NTV Tonight in our top stories.
Tonight, investigators are examining Flight E2302 black boxes as government sets up team to probe crash that killed 32 Kenyans. Also tonight, a missed flight.
Everything was smooth. But when we reached Addis Ababa, I was a little bit late.
And a happy reunion. Plus, families left in the cold as houses built under power lines are flattened. Also tonight, Joseph Boynet's 4-year tenure as top cop ends.
NTV Tonight with Zeynab Ismail.
Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Flora Atieno. Now tonight, aviation authorities remain at the site of an Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed southeast of the Addis Ababa, killing all 157 people on board. Investigators are preparing to start retrieving information from the black boxes recovered from the doomed flight and that could provide crucial clues into the cause of the crash. In the meantime, the Kenyan government has sent out top air crash investigators to assist in the probe. NTV's Kennedy Mureithi has our update.
For the second day straight, air crash investigators have been scouring through the wreckage for any clues or insights into the crash that happened 6 minutes after the plane took off from Bole International Airport. Today, they recovered the plane's black boxes that would unravel the cause of the crash. The only available data has so far come from tracking websites. Investigators will also be looking into claims made by some witnesses that the plane caught fire mid-air and exploded on impact. 32 of the 157 passengers who died were Kenyans.
We shall continue making sure the welfare of the friends and families affected is given utmost attention.
The government has set up a multi-agency team that will help with investigations.
We have Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, KCAA. We have the National Disaster Management Unit, which is domiciled in the Ministry of Interior. We have the Kenya Airports Authority. We have the Port Health. We have the Air Accident Investigation, which is in the Ministry of Transport. We have Ethiopian Airlines. We also have Kenya Airways because of the various issues which interface in our sector.
Already, another team led by Permanent Secretary Esther Koimet is in Ethiopia coordinating the relaying of information to families that lost their loved ones. Another team from Kenya will join the investigators retrieving data from the black boxes.
We shall be sending the director of air accident investigation, Captain Runani, to be part of that team to make sure that they provide support as much as possible.
The government contends that investigations of this nature are complex and must not be rushed, as all parties, including the countries involved, have come in and trying to help investigations go on. Right now, the CS agrees that one of the most important questions on most Kenyans is why and how it happened. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV at the JKIA in Nairobi.
Now, Ahmed Khalid was booked on the doomed Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed yesterday. But lucky for him, he was 50 minutes late. His flight from Dubai had been delayed and thus he missed the connecting flight to Nairobi. He shares with NTV's Seth Olale his relief for getting a second chance and his pain for those who, unlike him, will never see their families again.
A soul-stirring reunion for a father and son. Still fuzzed by last morning events that would have hurled a father into mourning. Their relief is, however, so clear. 29-year-old Ahmed Khalid was traveling from Dubai to Nairobi via Addis Ababa to spend a month-long leave with his family after being away for a year and 3 months. His flight from Dubai was, however, delayed by about 50 minutes. He thus missed the connecting flight from Addis, the doomed Ethiopian Airways flight that crashed yesterday morning.
It was only the delay. The plane did not even shake even once. Everything was smooth. But when we reached Addis Ababa, I was a little bit late. I was running for the first plane.
The delay was a huge setback for Ahmed, who had wanted to catch the first flight out to make it home in time. But it turned out to be a blessing. By the time his plane arrived at the Boeing International Airport in Addis, the boarding gate had been closed and had to wait for the next available flight to Nairobi.
Because I missed the flight and I didn't have any connection, there was no internet, there was nothing. We had to stay. So my thinking was, I told Dad to come early, so he will be waiting for a long time in the airport.
I just asked somebody, a taxi driver there. He asked me, which flight? Are you coming to receive somebody? I said, yes. Which flight? I said, Ethiopia. He told me, oh my God, Ethiopia has crashed.
Mzee sasa ndo akaanza kubabaika. Ndo akaona sasa nifanye vipi, sijui nimpigie mama simu sipigie. Lakini kwa bahati nzuri Ahmed naye akajua baba atakuwa na wasiwasi. Akampigia akamwambia baba, mimi siko kwa hiyo ndege. Nitakuja kwa ndege nyingine. Ndio mzee akapata nafasi ya kunipigia mimi kunijulisha.
I was supposed to come with that plane. That's why I told you to come early. But because I couldn't make it, I don't know, God still loves me. Allah is the protector.
Even though he miraculously cheated death, Ahmed says he had already bought a ticket to return to Dubai when his leave is over with the same airline. But for now, he relishes the time he's been given to spend with his family. Sat Olale, NTV.
Luck indeed. Now, the family of Jaboma Isabel Achieng, one of the passengers killed in the crash, faces an agonizing wait for any news as investigators and authorities scour through the wreckage for any clues. They hope to get news about their loved one's remains on Thursday. NTV's Sharon Baranga reports on the family's fond memories of their loved one who never made it home to them.
At Sophia Village in Homa Bay County and at the home of 31-year-old Jaboma Isabel Achieng, the atmosphere is that of solemn reflection. The heartbreaking toll of the plane crash was laid bare here, as it finally dawns on the family that Isabel, fondly known to them and her friends as Bella, will not be coming home to them. She was among the 157 people who died in the Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed yesterday.
Her brother, eldest brother in Nairobi, was expecting her by about midday to have texted him wherever she was. But by which time she had not made any text or any information or conveyed any information about where she was.
Bella was very responsible, caring to me. And again, she was very diligent and she liked cleanliness.
Bella was a volunteer with Hope for Cancer Kids. She was in Cairo, Egypt for a one-week international conference on cancer. She died alongside two of her colleagues.
Bella was so loving to the father. You know, when you have one daughter, she was so loving to the father. Even the father had some names for her. And she was a respected lady.
The family now only left with fond memories and a huge gap that the only girl in the family of three has left by her death.
She was very useful to the mother who is sick because of her knowledge in nutrition dietetics. She has been of use to the mother in terms of maintaining her health and continuing medication.
It is so painful. We've lost Bella, a very loving daughter. And she is honest. She encouraged me. It is so sad to lose Bella.
In the meantime, it will be an agonizing wait for news of her remains. They hope to get information on Thursday. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
And the fourth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly kicked off earlier today in Nairobi under a dark cloud cast by Sunday's plane crash that killed 157 people, including 22 UN staff, many who were heading to that annual event. Now, Victor Kiprop attended the Assembly's opening ceremony and has the story.
Unlike its previous sessions, the first day of this year's United Nations Environment Assembly was enveloped by a grim atmosphere as delegates observed a minute of silence in respect for victims of the crash.
I wish to express my deepest condolences and prayers to the great nation of Ethiopia and to the families of the passengers and the crew members who lost their life in this tragedy.
Outside, a UN flag flew at half-mast, while other flags of the UN members that usually adorn the UN headquarters had been taken down. At least 21 UN employees died in the crash that also killed tens of Canadian youth delegates, seasoned scientists, members of academia and other partners traveling to the annual summit, according to UN Environment. Meanwhile, the moment of respect was also observed in other UN events.
As you walked into the United Nations today, you saw our flags flying at half-mast. This is indeed a sad day for many around the world, and for the UN in particular.
Top of the agenda of the annual Global Environmental Summit was the need to invest heavily in innovative solutions as a means of protecting the environment and moving the planet to a more sustainable path in the face of climate change.
These innovations challenge the very basis on how we treat our planet. We can no longer grow now and clean up later. We have reached the planet's limits.
The 5-day conference is expected to attract more than 4,000 delegates from 170 countries, including French President Emmanuel Macron. Victor Kiprop, NTV.
And questions have arisen on the speed that the Ethiopian Airlines flight was moving at, even as the pilot raised alarm and requested to turn back. Data available so far shows the plane's movement from takeoff to when communication was lost. Dan Mwangi takes us through it.
Bole Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. At 8:38 a.m. local time, Ethiopian Airlines plane flight ET302 took to the skies. The aircraft's vertical speed was unstable, according to data by real-time air traffic tracker Flight Trader 24. Now, some statistics. Ideally, a Boeing 737 MAX 8's cruising speed should be about 840 kilometers per hour, which should ideally be achieved at about 38,000 feet and happens within 20 or so minutes. The ET302, on the other hand, according to Flight Trader 24 data, was at 709 kilometers per hour after flying about 1,000 feet in 3 minutes. Now, it was at 8,600 feet, but Bole is at 7,625 feet above sea level. Hence, the difference is what had been flown. At 8:41 a.m., Flight Trader 24 lost connection with the plane. However, the airline says it was still in communication with the pilot, who, within this time, sounded alarm.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Ethiopia 302 requesting clearance back to base. Ethiopia 302, confirm you're declaring a full emergency and you need to be given priority to land.
He was cleared to turn around and land. At 8:44 a.m. local time, contact with ET302 was lost. This is when it is believed to have crashed. An eyewitness told AFP that as the plane went down, it was swerving erratically and its rear side was on fire before it hit the ground near Tulu Fara village outside the Bishoftu town, about 60 kilometers from the airport.
And in light of that, 3 countries have so far grounded the Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes following the deadly crash yesterday in Ethiopia. Indonesia has joined China and Ethiopia to ground the jets until investigations into the cause of the ET302 crash are concluded. In light of this, Boeing's shares have taken a hit, tumbling 11%, setting the stock up for its biggest fall in nearly 20 years. Alex Mwangi takes a look at the aircraft in in question, the Boeing 737 MAX 8, shedding light on the numbers that it boasts of and why it has fallen out of the sky for the second time in 5 months.
The Boeing 737 does not pack a punch when it comes to its size as compared to the Dreamliner or the Airbus A380. But it seems to have become a perfect fit for aviation all around the world, given that it is the most popular jet aircraft of all time. According to Boeing's website, 69 airlines have bought the 737 MAX aircraft. Designed for short and medium-range flights, the 737 MAX, often described as a workhorse, has derived its popularity from its affordable maintenance and the fact that it can connect smaller airports to each other profitably, besides serving hubs as well. The 737 MAX family features 4 models: the MAX 7, MAX 8, MAX 9, and MAX 10. Boeing says the 737 MAX is the fastest-selling airplane in its history, accumulating nearly 4,700 orders from more than 100 customers worldwide in its short lifespan. Hardly 6 months have lapsed since a similar aircraft belonging to Lion Air crashed near Jakarta, Indonesia, killing all 189 on board. The fact that both planes were relatively new has led some to believe that Boeing could be more to blame than the pilots. Boeing had sought to have the MAX family introduced without the need to retrain pilots, a cost which would have weighed heavily on airlines, even though there was significant change to software relating to how the plane handles the angle of attack. By tweaking the engine size and landing gear of the 737 while designing the MAX, the company encountered a challenge, with the plane tending to pitch upwards, which could lead to a stall. Boeing developed the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, to address this, which can work independent of the pilot's input. It's suspected that there might have been a conflict between MCAS operations towards avoiding a stall and those of the pilots, leading to the Lion Air crash, although investigations are still ongoing. Statistics indicate that Southwest Airlines has the largest stock of the MAX 8 in its fleet or on order, at 250, with local rival American Airlines at 100. Chinese airlines have healthy fleets of the MAX 8 as well. Lion Air is said to have 10, while Ethiopian Airlines has 30. Following Sunday's crash, China, Indonesia, Ethiopia, and the Cayman Islands have grounded their MAX 8 jets. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
All right, and away from that, Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet's term in office came to an end today after a 4-year term at the helm of the police service. He presided over a number of reforms in the police service, including a change of uniform. The former intelligence officer is not eligible for another term under the current constitution. The search for a new Inspector General has been heating up since last year, and the incoming National Police Service Commission is expected to pick a candidate to hold the office in acting capacity. And TV's investigative editor Dennis Okari with the details.
Joseph Kipchirchir Boynet is the first Inspector General of Police to complete his term. Under the current constitution, the law provides that the holder of the office of the Inspector General of Police shall serve for a 4-year term. The former spy, who also served as a desk officer in Kenyan missions in Harare, Zimbabwe, Rome, Italy, and in the Foreign Office as head of protocol, was nominated, vetted, and took oath of office during a turbulent time in the police service on December 31st, 2014.
Do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Constitution and the President of Kenya.
His appointment followed the retirement of the country's first IG, David Mwale Kimayo, who called it quits 2 years before his due time after the public and MPs piled pressure on President Uhuru Kenyatta to sack him and Interior CS Joseph Olelenku after a series of security lapses and terrorist attacks in the country. The difference between the former IG and the outgoing one is that Kimayo was selected by the National Police Service Commission, but Joseph Boynet was picked by the President. The President has powers to pick one person from a list submitted to him by the National Police Service Commission and present it to Parliament for approval. The incoming National Police Service Commission, led by Eliud Kinothia, who took over from Johnston Kavuludi, is expected to take oath of office and thereafter begin their recruitment of the next Inspector General of Police. The Commission is expected to appoint either of Boynet's deputies, Nur Gabo or Edward Mbogwa, in acting capacity as the country waits to find out who will be the country's third Inspector General of Police. Dennis Okari, NTV.
All right, thank you so much, Dennis Okari, for that report. And that takes us to our short break. When we come back, we tell you a lot more coming up with the politics surrounding the 21 billion payment for the Aror and Kimwarer dams. Let's take a break. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Alex Tulgos has distanced himself from the incendiary remarks made by 4 members of parliament against the president on the weekend. Tulgos has voiced support for the ongoing investigations into how the advance payments of 21 billion shillings for the Aror and Kimwarer dams were made. He has also distanced himself from the views expressed by the county Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, the MPs and some county MCAs that the investigation is a ploy to terminate the projects.
There is an African proverb, Mr. Speaker, that says, when a hyena wants to eat its children, it first accuses them of smelling like goats.
Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen's remarks late last month as details of a multi-billion shilling scandal involving Kimwarer and Aror dams emerged. Murkomen and a section of Rift Valley leaders, Deputy President William Ruto included, accuse shadowy figures of casting aspersions onto the projects in an effort to derail them.
We've heard, for example, that the government has lost 21 billion in Kimwarer and Aror dam, which is a flat lie. The money in question is about 7 billion.
But as the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nuruddin Haji, made clear on Friday, it's the Deputy President who may have his facts wrong. The DPP confirming that the amount paid out for the dams in advance is indeed 21 billion. And it is not a flat lie, to quote the Deputy President, that the tendering process was not above board, leading a section of legislators from the region to train their guns on President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Mambo ya siasa ya 2022. Kwamba kama rais wetu mtukufu ambaye tulimpa nafasi ya tuongoze, kama amebadili nia vile wenzangu wamesema kwamba hawezi taka labda William Samoei Ruto awe president wa Kenya. Sisi tunasema kwamba tunamsupport sisi Na katika kusupport kwetu, kama anataka Raila basi aje ashindane naye, tunasema anayetaka kufua ziwani basi tukutane mwambani.
It's these remarks that Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Alex Tolgos sought to distance himself from in a statement on Monday, stating it was very unnecessary for the MPs to mix 2022 politics with projects undertaken by the national government in Elgeyo Marakwet County. He continues to say that the MPs should have utilized the opportunity in Parliament to address the matter within the floor of the House instead of making unhelpful political statements. The governor seeking to be a voice of reason in what is an already highly charged political storm, with DP Ruto and his perceived nemesis Raila Odinga having already made several exchanges over the amounts involved.
If somebody is stealing, don't go and shout there and tell us that, oh, 7 billion shillings is nothing. 7 billion shillings is not pocket change. See your person,
Olive Barrows, NTV.
And more than 40 city home owners in Buruburu Farmers Land, Njiru and Choka area in Embakasi have been rendered homeless after houses built and high voltage power lines were demolished. The demolitions ordered by Kenya Power targeted houses constructed inside the 20-meter zone from the power lines.
Bungalows and mansionettes were brought down in Choka area, Embakasi, Nairobi. Homeowners watched in disbelief as their houses were demolished. It was too much for some. They are accused of building their houses too close to the high voltage power lines. Last March, an operation dubbed Ondokea Laini was launched in order to reclaim land around pylons and the power lines.
Hapa pahali tulimaki hizi nyumba na tukapatia notice on 14th of December last year 2018 na tukafanya mkutano mara mbili. Tumefanya mkutano,
hawajatuserve notice ya sisi kuhama. Kenya Power wali announce meters zenye tunafaa kukaa kando nazo. 132 kV is 15 meters. The other one ya 220 kV is 20 meters. Tukai kando nayo.
Houses built inside the 20-meter zone will also be demolished in other affected areas. Halima Gongo, NTV.
All right, and from that report from Halima Gongo, Senior Nyeri Magistrate Pauline Macy Chesang has filed a court order to block the burial of her murdered husband, lawyer Robert Chesang. She claims that the burial organization is being done in bad faith by not involving her.
As urgent, Senior Magistrate Pauline Chesang cited the fact that she was the first of kin to the late Robert Chesang and should, as a result with her children, be the one to help organize his final send-off. She claims she was not consulted on the burial and that her late husband did not have any relationship with his family, who are now arranging to bury him. The lawyer was shot dead on the 19th of February at his home in Lukenya, Machakos County. The senior magistrates and police officers have been arraigned as suspects. The 4 suspects believed to be behind the murder of a 15-year-old girl that was living with her aunt in Nairobi's Eastleigh estate will remain in custody until the 13th of March, when the case will be heard. They were initially arraigned at the Makadara Law Courts but are to appear at the Milimani Court for their next hearing. According to the police, the victim was tortured to death as her body had deep cuts on the thighs, forehead, as well as burns suspected to have been caused by acid. Police say they received a tip from a mosque in South Sea Estate where the girl's body had been taken for cleaning and prayers ahead of burial in line with Islamic traditions. The court case involving a 15-year-old girl from Eastleigh, Nairobi, who was rescued before she could be married off last year, has been postponed until the 25th of March when a final verdict will be given. Though the teenager is currently staying at a children's home, her relatives, including her siblings and parents, want her to go to a private day school. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
Now, image is a big deal, and the county government of Nairobi seems aware of this. Look around the capital and see the beautification of grass and other plants, and most recently, these guys, the lions of the jungle, who got an upgrade hours after their predecessors. But something else sits embarrassingly high in the central business district. Any idea what this is? Well, this, believe it or not, is a national symbol in tatters. The embarrassment flies high in the capital, showing how bad the winds of neglect have beat it to tatters. While the lions shine gold, the flag has no shine. It sits on the shoulders of the welcome arms to the capital along Kenyatta Avenue, but sits near the county flag whose state is far better. All right. And there you have it. We're going to take a very short break. We'd like to hear your sentiments on the same. Our Twitter handle is at NTV Kenya, subsequently at Zeynab Ismail, the hashtag NTV Tonight. Let's take a break.
Business, I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, the Capital Markets Authority, that CMA, has indefinitely extended the suspension of trading of Kenol Kobil's shares. This follows the request from French firm Rubis Energy, which has so far clinched a 97% stake following closure of the offer for purchase of shares period on February 18, 2019. Rubis Energy sought that the extension of trading on Kenol Kobil shares to allow it to facilitate transfer of acquired shares and also buy out the remaining stake at the offer price of 23 shillings per share. Kenol Kobil shares were first suspended from trading on February 21, 2019 for a period of 11 days. Today's extension now paves the way for delisting of the company. Barclays Bank of Kenya has clawed back to growth in profitability in the 12 months ended December 2018, posting an after-tax profit of 7.4 billion shillings. Now, this represents a 7.2% growth from the same period in 2017. Julian Samboko with more details.
A 66% jump in fees and commissions on loans and advances to 1 billion shillings helped lift Barclays Bank to growth in net earnings, even as growth in interest on loans remained sluggish at 1.3%. Despite clear indication of low appetite for risk, the bank's book of bad loans continued to grow by double digits, registering 10.5% in the period under review.
Our NPLs have basically picked up from about 12 to about 13 billion shillings. It's about 10% increment in there. And the reason for that, we have some specific corporate names in there And then, of course, the impact also on IFRS 9, contributing to that growth.
With the bank set to undergo transition from the Barclays to the Absa brand, the top management has sought to reassure investors that costs incurred will not impact the bank's performance and profitability.
We're going to incur significant cost as part of the separation. In there, we're going to have issues to do with the technology, investments in technology. There is a lot of investments from a branding perspective. We will be getting capital support from our group, that's Absa Group.
The bank's board has recommended a 10% increase in the full-year dividend payout to 1 shilling and 10 cents.
With 2 slashes in the central bank's benchmark rate, 2018 presented a challenging year for commercial banks. Earnings presented thus far, however, indicate the industry remains resilient, even in the face of regulatory hurdles. Julian's Amboko, NTV.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga has called for radical measures in the sugar industry to save it from collapse. Odinga prescribed privatization and sugar factory mergers as possible remedies to salvage the ailing industry. He was speaking at a stakeholders meeting attended by Agriculture CS Mwangi Kionjori and 5 governors. Ouko Kusa reports.
The Prime Minister said that in order to transform the sugar sector, some bold decisions had to be made.
Allow the private sector to come in and partner with the public sector and allow them to be able to take over the management of the company. This is what is going to help the ordinary farmer.
Raila called for the merger of some of the state-owned sugar factories to create what he termed as the economies of scale that will give the country's sugar industry the much-needed leverage to compete in the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA.
Bigger mills, more modern, and with sufficient crushing capacity, and also allow our farmers to get involved.
On his part, the CS exuded confidence that in only a matter of months, the sector will experience massive reforms that will have a ripple effect all the way to the grassroots.
A statement that when our people listen to us, they will see revival of the sugar industry. That for the first time, we shall be able to compete with our neighbors. And most important of it all is that our farmers will have hope that the next few months, they will be walking to the bank smiling. That for the first time in their history, they will be able to reap from their sweat, that their sweat will not be in vain.
The meeting was also attended by members of parliament and senators from all the sugarcane growing regions.
The national government is very committed to reviving this industry. And let us ride on this opportunity to make sure that this industry is revived for the benefit of our people.
Time is of the essence. The more we lose time, the more the factories accumulate more debt, the more the farmers are suffering. I think it is time.
Ouko Kusa, NTV.
Kenya has received a boost following the move by a French multinational, Societe BIC, popular for the manufacturing of stationery, lighters and shavers, to have the country act as its base for marketing and distributing its products. BIC CEO Gonzalo Beach attributed this to the country's young population and strategic location. The firm announced that Tanzania, Djibouti, Eritrea, Somalia and South Sudan markets will be served from Kenya, bringing to a total of 10 countries in the continent that Kenya is serving. The move offers employment prospects to thousands of employees who are facing job uncertainty after the French firm bought out Hako Industries in a 714 million shilling deal barely 3 months ago. The M. Akiba government infrastructure bond will start trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange tomorrow following the closure of the purchase period just hours ago. The NSC, the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, CDSC, and the Capital Markets Authority extended the purchase period by 2 days from March 8th to midnight March 10th. The tax-free bond, which is only transacted via the mobile phone, has an interest rate of 10% per annum, which is payable every 6 months. The government is targeting to raise 250 million shillings through this particular issue, as it seeks to raise a total of 5 billion shillings through M. Akiba. That's it for business. And just not too long ago, I'd done a report on the Ethiopian airline, and there was some offense taken according to what I'd done. My apologies to anyone who may have been affected or offended. It was nothing of the sort intended. My name is Dan. Good night.
Dakika ya mwisho, kipindi cha lala salama. Ngoma inapigwa mbele, anapiga kifuani, anateremsha chini, kutoka kulia. Nao ni pena na mtendea dhambi kwenye eneo la hatari. Masalale, hii ni penalty. Penalty inakwenda kuchongwa hii. Anamwangalia goalkeeper machoni. Anaangalia kando. Anaupiga mpira. Ameficha kweli kweli.
Karibu Betin.
Insurance 101, brought to you by
And thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which midwifed the 2018 general election and the repeat presidential election of October 26th, is at the crossroads. Calls to disband the body have fluctuated between high and low, depending on the political mood in the country. Just recently, the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly tabled a report on the flow of the House, recommending the exit of IEBC commissioners for failing in their mandate. The commission has been operating with only 2 commissioners and the chairman. NTV's Vincent Odor examines the IEBC.
It has been a turbulent journey for the IEBC, leading into and after the 2017 August and October elections. The handshake has only afforded the commission temporary. Allegations of misappropriation of public funds and wrangles among its commissioners are the other key challenges the commission faces. The wrangles had 4 of its commissioners resign. Its Vice Chair Lady Connie Maina, Commissioners Margaret Machanya and Paul Kurgat publicly resigned, accusing Chairman Wafula Chebukati of poor leadership. These followed the resignation of Commissioner Roslyn Akombe, who indicted the commission, saying it could not guarantee a credible second presidential election.
Given this severe deterioration of confidence in the commission chair, we find our position as commissioners under his leadership no longer tenable.
Months later, the three commissioners attempted to get back to their offices. Chebukati rejected their comeback, locked their offices, and termed them strangers.
They are not supposed to be working here, and this has to be made very, very clear to the country that there's no place for former commissioners in the IEBC.
To date, IEBC Chairman Chebukati has been running the commission with the two remaining commissioners, Abdi Gulie and Boya Molu. Allegations of misappropriation of funds allocated to the commission put the then IEBC Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba at loggerheads with Chebukati. Chebukati suspended Chiloba for 3 months before Chiloba was finally fired by the commission. A section of political leaders in the country have been calling for the disbandment of the commission, accusing it of mishandling the 2017 presidential elections, besides siphoning public funds through questionable tenders.
We cannot continue saying that we are bringing people together and we continue to delay in dealing with the institution that has time and again, through an electoral cycle, been generating tensions in this country.
So when I see William Ruto issuing threats here, I've just seen akisema kwamba they will not allow staffers wa IEBC to be dealt with, and yet the finding of the Supreme Court is they committed illegalities, irregularities. How are we going to go to that election with them?
Tume ya uchaguzi mpaka isafishwe, ifagiliwe. Tuwe na wale watu ambao wanaweza kufanya uchaguzi yenye haki na ukweli.
Several political leaders, especially from the opposition, pushed the IEBC to open its servers to see the actual data of the election results in the quest to prove their claims that IEBC had manipulated the final presidential election results. Even after the Supreme Court ordered the IEBC to fully open its servers to the complainants, that did not happen. However, early this year, IEBC Chair Chebukati revealed that the commission is now ready to open its servers for scrutiny, as had been ordered by the Supreme Court.
The famous story in Kenya is Fungua server. What happened to the server? Now, the commission, we know what we have, the information we have. But we need an external consultant to audit the server and give the information to Kenyans.
Just recently, the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly recommended the exit of IEBC chiefs, led by Chairman Wafula Chebukati, for failing in their mandate. The PAC report also seeks charges for some of the commissioners for leading the commission to losses amounting to billions of shillings. The report has legislators divided on whether it should or should not be debated on the floor of the House.
That the report, in particular the findings of the committee on page 7 and 130, are inadmissible as they are contrary to the Constitution.
What PAC proposed to do, Mr. Speaker, is illogical, offends the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, and it's meant to sort out a problem through the back door.
Unless some Kenyan has the courage to bring a petition, then we, as an August House, that actually passed the name of that person or those persons, our hands are tied, we cannot discuss. That would be very dangerous.
Chebukati has accused PAC of ignoring their submissions when writing the report.
Most of what we presented, both in writing and oral, is not captured in that report, or for purpose of arriving at the recommendations which you are referring to.
However, IEBC, during recent launch of the 2017 post-election evaluation report, termed the 2017 elections as among the toughest. Chebukati said some of the challenges IEBC faced were the large number of contestants, late funding, breakdown of the system, and even violence against its staff. Chebukati called for laws related to elections to be passed at least 2 years before the polls to avoid some of the pitfalls the Electoral Management Body experienced in previous exercises. The changes, says Chebukati, will also address challenges such as the reappointment of commissioners in case some opt out. Chebukati and the two commissioners who remain have asserted their intentions to stay put and urged Parliament to fill the vacant slots. In 2018, the High Court dismissed a petition seeking to declare IEBC illegally composed following the resignation of 4 commissioners. The judge ruled that a vacancy in the commission does not invalidate its composition and that nothing bars IEBC from conducting by-elections. Vincent Oduor, NTV, Nairobi.
All right, and that report there by Vincent Oduor takes us to yet another break, but Ida Waringa brings us all the sporting action after this break.
TV Sport in association with Nivea Dry Fresh Deodorants.
A very good Monday evening to you. Let's play. My name is Ida Waringa, starting things off with some breaking news. And Zinedine Zidane has returned as a Real Madrid manager just 10 months after leaving the Spanish Giants. The Frenchman replaces a Santiago Solari who was in charge for less than 5 months. Former Real midfielder Zidane, 46 years old now, who left in May after leading the club to a third straight Champions League trophy, has agreed to take over until 2022. The club announced, while Real are currently third in La Liga, 12 points behind leaders Barcelona. Solari was sacked after a 4-1 win over Real Valladolid on Sunday, which followed a shock Champions League exit to Ajax. Pounds or 1.7 million shillings for his disrespectful act towards Gor Mahia in their CAF Confederation Cup match played in Alexandria. In the 68th minute end, with Zamalek leading Gor Mahia 2-0, striker Ahadad stood on the ball in their attack on Gor. The move agitated Gor defender and captain Harun Shekava, who challenged him with a tough tackle to retrieve the ball. While Kogalo's 4-0 loss to Zamalek leaves the Kenyan champions bottom of the 4-team group with 6 points, but still in with a chance of progressing to the quarterfinals of the tournament if they win against Petro Atletico in their final group tie. Zamalek are top of the pile with 8 points, followed by Petro in second place with 7 points, same as Algerian side Ene Hussein Dey, who lie in third. Well, moving on, and Ghana captain Asamoah Gyan has once again been dropped from head coach Kwesi Appiah's squad to face Kenya in an African Cup of Nations qualifier set for March 23rd in Accra, Ghana. The Ayew brothers, Andre and Jordan, make a return after Rejoined AFC Leopards, who have seemingly started to find their footing on a 3-month contract. The defender, who previously played for Tusker FC, will travel with the squad to Kakamega, where they are scheduled to play Sofapaka in a league game on Wednesday. The 26-year-old, who has been spotted training with the national team, will be aiming for a call-up to the Harambee Stars AFCON outfit. Cheche had been unattached since parting ways with Swedish second-tier outfit IF Bromma last year.
Mutual agreement with the club, like if the club stays in the top league, I'll stay with them. But if in case we got relegated, I'll leave. And that, unfortunately, that happened. We got relegated, and then now I had to leave on mutual agreement. But right now I'm just home with the family, 2-3 weeks, and then we'll know the next destination.